something, you say no.
All right, welcome back. Now let's begin our first discussion, which borders on the proscription of the Islamic movement of Nigeria and its implications. Now, after weeks of continuous protests by the Islamic movement of Nigeria, that's also known as Shi'ites, with some of the protests turning bloody, leading to the death of a young journalist, Precious Owolabi, a police senior officer, and some members of the group, the federal government has finally obtained a court judgment proscribing the group. Now, this morning, our focus will be on the implications of this court decision. Now, joining us for this discussion from our Abuja studios, we have a lawyer, Ogenovo Otemo. Ogene, you're welcome to the program.
For having me.
All right, looking at the situation, a number of Nigerians, a good number of Nigerians, perhaps majority of Nigerians, are frowning at this decision by the federal government to proscribe this group. Now, from your legal perspective, you must have studied the Constitution a number of times from cover to cover. Now, tell me, is this the right decision the president or the federal government took in order to stem this continuous protesting of this group, of the Shiite group?
Yes, I think it's a welcome development. I think the government is taking, for the first time, the right steps to deal with this issue of the Islamic movements of Nigeria. Now, we understand the Shia is a denomination of the Islamic religion. So it is not their religious activities that are now being proscribed, but the movement, the Islamic movement's activity is what is being proscribed. You are aware, we are all aware of their antecedents in Zaria, Kaduna State. We are also aware that there were times where this El-Zakzaky had declared himself the president of a country that I don't know, appointed governors across the nation. You may not even know who that he has a governor in your state. You know, so no government takes that. And all these years, governments have been, regime over regime, starting from Abacha, even before Abacha, up till just the last government, Jonathan's regime, you know, they've been trying to struggle, they've been struggling to deal with this issue of Islamic movement of Nigeria. And because it has a religious connotation, nobody wants to confront it head on. That is the problem in this country. Once you can commit any crime and hide under religion, and people are scared. Is he a Christian? Are you trying to fight against Muslims? Are you doing this? So that has been the consideration all these years, and governments have been trying to manage it until now it's getting to a full-blown issue because of their leader that has been in detention. And so I think the proscription ought to have come way before now, because no government, no country will allow somebody to declare himself a government of his own within a government and allow such a movement, and allow such an organization to continue to thrive. Look at the threats they pose to even the nation capital. It's unacceptable. No one can accept that. No government can accept that. So I think the federal government, for the very first time, is taking the real step, the proper step, the bold step to confront this movement head on. And I think it's a welcome development.
Ogene, very well said, but I'm a bit concerned when you said government should have proscribed this group way back before now. And the question I want to ask is, how timely is this proscription coming at a time where ugly dust are being raised everywhere in the polity? How timely is this proscription?
Well, there's no time that is, like I said, it ought to have come before now. In the days of Jonathan, we are aware of the crisis they had with the Jonathan government. In Jonathan government, you remember El-Zakzaky's sons, about 2 of his sons were killed. You know, this is an organization that stopped a governor from entering any a local government or a community in his state. A governor, the chief of army staff was passing through a place, and because you are carrying out your procession, your religious activity, you refuse government officials. As I speak to you today, the area where that movement declared as their caliphate or as their headquarters, no security agent can access it. So should we say because of politics, because it is not proper at this time, it is not ripe at this time, we should allow them to go on, and then Buhari will rule and finish his tenure? It may now become you as the next president, and it will continue. It will still not be ripe in your time as president. So there is no time that we suit it to the way it's going. I think this is the best time, even though I submit that it ought to have come before now.
Mentioned earlier, you said it was the movement that was proscribed and not their religion, or not the practice of their religion. Now, can you differentiate what the movement is and what the practice of their religion is? Because it looks like it's intertwined. If you want to remove a movement from the people, then what really, what really is left for the Shiite members?
Okay, the constitution of our country guarantees freedom of worship. And so if they carry out their worship peacefully, without interference, without disobeying the laws of the country, they have no problem with government. They have no problem with the country. Nobody can prescribe them. And so their denomination, I call it a denomination, their denomination in the Islamic religion, it's allowed, it's free for you to practice whatever religion you want to practice. It is a constitutional guarantee that is inalienable. Nobody can take it from you. You have, everybody in the country has a right to practice a religion of their choice. You want to practice voodoo, it is your religion. You are allowed to practice it. But in the course of the practice of your religion, if you overstep your boundaries, if you go ahead to breach laws of the country where you are, or where you practice your religion, the laws will catch up with you. The laws must be brought to hold you. So what is happening now is that in the course of the practice of their religion, they overstepped their boundaries. They went as far as to declare themselves a government. We must underline this. That's the most important aspect of all this. They don't see themselves as members of this country under the federal government, not Buhari, not Abacha, not Yar'Adua, not Obasanjo. Ask all this, not Babangida, not so if all these governments have was Jonathan a Sunni member? No, because the insinuation is because Buhari is a Sunni member. It's of the Sunni denomination. That is why he's fighting the minority denomination. It's not so. All governments. Obasanjo is not a Muslim. He also fought this movement. So all governments have been fighting this movement because they overstep the boundaries allowed within the constitution, which is freedom of worship. If they were just practicing their religion, nobody has any problem with them. But when you now move ahead to try to show that your religion does not recognize the constituted authorities, and then you do not even end there, you went as far as to now declare a government of your own that you are loyal to. Just for instance, if you are aware, the charges that are even against him, against Ezazaki in Kaduna, it's supposed to be for 4 people: himself, his wife, and 2 other persons who are governors of other states that he has appointed as governors of some of the states, I think whether Kaduna or Katsina states, governors of his government. We must understand that he has a government. So those people were also part of the charge. And they refused to accept court summons. They refused to appear and submit themselves to the laws of the land. And you expect a government to sit and fold its hand and allow them to continue in the propaganda that oh, we are fighting a religious organization. We are trying to, the government is trying to suppress a body that is worshiping freely. They should be allowed. I heard when you talked about Khan saying that the prescription is illegal and all that, and some senior lawyers are saying, I'm surprised where they get their information from. And I feel if Khan does not have a legal team that is properly advising them. So it is a proper thing that the government has done. You cannot, in the course of practicing your religion, you must obey the laws of the land. If you refuse to obey the laws of the land, the laws will catch up with you, and the government of that country, of that land, should or must ensure that you are brought under its governance. If not, the next thing we go into is anarchy. If, for instance, I belong to a denomination in the Christian faith, and then tomorrow I get up from my own Christian faith and declare my caliphate, my church as a government of him, because I believe that no man should rule me, but it's only God that should rule, and God has given me power to rule, and I declare as the president of my faith in the area where I practice my religion from. And you too go and declare your own. Another person, everybody declares his government. Will there be a country called Nigeria? No. So in the interest of the country, we should forget about the unnecessary propagandas that are going on in the air. And I feel probably the government is not, the government spokespeople are not, and even the people that are supposed to give orientation to Nigerians and educate Nigerians about these things are not properly coming out to do it the way it should be done. They should thoroughly educate Nigerians and let them understand why this action is taken, so that the unnecessary propaganda in the air should be doused down.
Okay, Aganovo, thank you for that intervention. We've just been joined in our Lagos studio. We have Dr. Hassan, who is also a legal practitioner. He's joined us in our Lagos studio. Dr. Good morning and welcome to News Up.
Good morning. Good morning, viewers at home.
Yeah, so let's dive straight to the issue of proscription of the Shi'Ite group by the federal government. How would you react to this? Do you think it's the right move at the right time by the federal government?
Firstly, I want to align with my colleague at the other studio based on stricto sensu laws. As far as laws are concerned, is a respecter of no man, meaning all are meant to be equal before the law. But the system we operate in Nigeria gave room for these kind of anomalies, because serially there are issues that are bedeviling the country at the moment, and several of it from the Shi'Ite, from the Shi'Ite, from the Fulani, it's as if the government is just waking up. If this have been a deterrent measure government is taking against some organizations that have turned themselves as a thorn in the flesh on several other activities that they are perpetrating crime, criminality is an issue whereby if you fall prey of the law and you are still expected to be presented as a sacred cow, at the end of the day it gives room for repetition of this kind of issue. Shi'ite is a religion, is a sect in a particular religion of Islam, just like we have the Sunni. They have their own ideology, but sometimes illegality begets illegality. The activities of this group in their domain and their kind of what they are preaching does not in any way conform with laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Needless to say, the government on their part, I would blame the government for this fire brigade approach, because using beheading John the Baptist would not have solved our problem. If the government were to be proactive, ab initio, if there are laws that guide registration and at the Corporate Affairs Commission, there are prescribed rules and punitive measures, there are punitive tribunals, that organizations that fall prey of this shouldn't have even gone to the level of the court. The government have to now go to court to have a reason for proscribing that organization. No, within that must have been an administrative measure. Then the government, in as much as the law is a two sides of the coin, the government ought to have seen this coming, because when you don't even if the leader of that group has been granted bail by the federal government, by the court. The federal government have refused to abide by that ruling. In any way, you are telling the people that the government lacks capacity to also teleguide that person even if he's released on bail. Bail is not a final release of that person. It doesn't put him that he's innocent. You just have to make sure that whoever that is standing as his surety, that person must ensure the person is proper, and they must have been proper.
Would you consider the fact that the same fate was with Nnamdi Kanu? He was granted bail, but he absconded. So why would the federal government want to take that kind of risk?
That means our government is lacking capacity. Once we have a national identity, that all our data are properly identified, and you know who this person is, not that this kind of every day we are just going through a lot of fire brigade approach to getting out of the hood. That wouldn't solve it. We wouldn't use the position of IPOB to relate with the Shi'Ite. No, are we going to use this to also relate with the way the Mietis are also going about their own issues? Because there are issues at every point in time. But if there are policy plan, what we are talking about to address the government is, let there be a national policy plan that addresses insecurity, whereby if any organization or individual commit any crime in the name of making seditious statement, reckless statement, that are capable of inciting violence, that is capable of throwing the country into abyss, that person ought to be punished by the law. So that no one should be above the law. Sometimes you see some individuals make reckless statements that are even more dangerous above what Shiites are doing.
Now, before this proscription, a lot of Nigerians have said that with the continuous protest of this group, it signifies, some security challenges or threats for Nigeria. Or
definitely, we do have a big.
Now, we don't know if this is actually a political coloration or religious coloration, because we know that this precedes the current president. The issue with
definitely
the Shiites, it precedes
the making of the Buhari-led government.
But we know the reason for this protest. Like you have stated, the court has granted their leader a bail, yet the federal government has been keeping him since 2015. And these people have been on the road, on the streets, asking that the federal government releases Sheikh El-Zakzaky. Now the president has said it should be proscribed because of the continuous protests that in some cases were turned violent. Do you think that is the right time for the government to have proscribed this group?
Well, there is no time the government cannot act. But what I'm trying to lay foundation for is that the government needs to be properly proactive in handling issues of national interest. When the government is parochial in dealing with side A with sacred hands and is now going to deal with side B with a very hard fist, that is where the insecurity itself emanates from. When there is no equality from the side of the government.
What happens to the rule of law?
That is where the issue is. We are too good in application of rule of force. Rule of law it's the same equal side of the coin that controls the user of the same law and the receiver of the same law, the giver and the receiver of equal side. So if the government is not doing its bidding at the right time, and look at the state of the nation, people are almost provoked at the provocation of Shiite, if you have to compare with the killings that are going on nationally from the headsmen and all this, is more provocative than Shiite. But were there any pronunciation that have condemned that act of criminality and reduced that this is crime is crime? So therefore, we cannot be looking at the entire Fulani nation as criminals, because if the government have been very proactive, and so these people that are committing this crime, they've been arrested.
Let's play that game I love.
I love class.
I love quality.
I love style.
Style goes with art.
I love music.
Music comes with culture.
I love good food.
I love quality food prepared by the best hands in our continent, Africa, by the Chinese.
You love Silk Road Restaurant.
For the finest in dining and wining, bring your friends, family, business meeting, conference, whatever you are celebrating, to Silk Road Restaurant. For exotic food, classic environment, beautiful culture and art, music, all happens under one roof. Visit us at Sinoki House, 5th floor, plot 770 Samuel Ademulegun Avenue, opposite Federal Ministry of Transportation, Central Area, Abuja. Contact us on these numbers or visit our website.
Sacred Restaurant, Frido Sita.
You're watching Silverbird Television.
Begins to run contrary with the law. That goes to every religion, that goes to every practice.
Okay.
So the government needs to begin to be more proactive, apply the full strength, wrath of the law where anybody fall prey. And that is what we are saying. This ground is a welcome ground. That yes, there is a proscription of that El Zazaki's led child movement. But this should now serve as a deterrent of every repeated similar organization that have thrown himself above government. So the government needs to be looking at every issue, but the government need not put everybody above the other.
Okay.
So that is an issue.
That's a lovely position there. Let's go back to Oganovo in Abuja. You've listened to Dotton's position. He is of the opinion that government is not fair in wielding the big stick in terms of I stand corrected. That's your position. The government is not completely fair in wielding the big stick. Do you concur with that position?
No, I do not. I do not concur. Though I agree with him in so many of his submissions, but I do not concur in the sense that if this is not done now, the government has used the proper steps in getting this proscription. It's not that the government just got up to announce the proscription. They filed a case before a court of law, and a judge of competent jurisdiction sat over the case, reviewed whatever. Of course, the government would have filed proof of evidence or exhibits to the case as evidence showing why the group should be proscribed. And so a judge sitting in his proper capacity would have reviewed the evidence before him and made the proclamation proscribing the organization. And so it's a proper thing that the government has done. The government has not done anything wrong. And it's also not wielding unnecessary or any big stake. It is a proper thing that government should do. And the point I keep making is, if it is not done today, it will be done tomorrow. So why keep postponing the evil day? All governments since Abacha or Babangida's time, from Babangida to Abacha to Abdul Salami to Obasanjo to Yar'Adua to Jonathan, now to Buhari, has had issues with this movement. Abacha detained this man for over 3 years. Jonathan's government killed 2 of his children. And so, but we keep postponing the evil day. Who do you want to be in government that should take the bold step? So I feel government at this time has taken the proper step that it should take, particularly because their activities were now becoming unbearable. I think that is what has even pushed government to take the step they took. Just imagine the Deputy Commissioner of Police that just lost his life, and that young copper that lost his life for nothing. If you are practicing your religious belief, practice it calmly in the way that is acceptable and can be accommodated by the laws of your country, of the country where you reside. If you are not comfortable with the laws of the country, then look for somewhere else, go to practice your religion. Your religious belief cannot be outside. Don't forget, some bodies that we call courts, those bodies we call courts, that are referred to as courtism or all courts, these are also, they are kind of religious bodies, but the laws proscribed them. The laws made them illegal. And because of that, if you cannot come on air to identify yourself as a court member. Some of those courts, what they do is actually in their thinking is their own religious activities. So the way the Islamic movement was going, it's almost like a cult arrangement, an occultic arrangement, and no government can accept that, because if you allow it, And I keep saying, if you allow this propaganda to continue to go on, that no, we should allow them, and we allow it. People are saying their rights to freedom of worship is infringed on. Let's allow them to continue their movements, continue their government, continue their practices. Tomorrow, you can see what Boko Haram, the stress we are going through from the Boko Haram experience. It started like this. If it was dealt with initially properly by government the way it ought to be done, it wouldn't have blown to the extent that it had to even get to the blowing up of the UN house and killing. Look at the whole section of the country having issue. The Northeast is a problem because of a religious belief. And so once your religious belief is not in tandem with the constitution of the country you belong to, I think you have issue with the government. And so the government, for me, has taken a proper step that should be taken. Now, the order is an ex parte order. We are where they have some of the brilliant lawyers defending them, working for them, as their counsels. The proper thing to be done is for them to now brief their lawyers. Let their lawyers go to courts to challenge the motion, the order that was made ex parte. They have a right. They file. Obviously, they have been served by publication. They should now go and challenge the order. The court will look at whatever evidence that they are going to bring up. If it is superior to the evidence that the government has provided in securing the order, of course, naturally, the court will vacate that order and they will continue with their activities. But until we get to that point.
Begin from where you ended, when you talked about the senior advocate of Nigeria, who is the advocate for the Islamic movement. He made a point, that's Femi Falana, he made a point when he said that the Court of Appeal had unanimously held that the right of Nigerians to protest against the policies of the government is part of freedom of expression guaranteed by the Constitution. And he made a reference to the defunct All Nigeria People's Party versus the federal government in 2013. That's the case over the Kano rally that turned violent. Now, would you say that this case is quite similar? Because like you have said earlier, some people have said this is a violation of their rights, a right to stage a protest, right to belong to a religious group, whether it's in a minority or not. Now, would you say that this case is quite similar to this Kano rally in 2013? Would this serve as a precedent to this particular case?
Well, no, I don't think so. I agree to the extent that, yes, every citizen, every organization has a right to protest, has a right to hold its opinion, has a right to hold government accountable to policies. I agree to that, and we've done that on several occasions. I also, when I feel that government is doing what is not proper, I join in protest. I have condemned even this government on several occasions, if you follow me. Now, but in doing that, in carrying out your rights, you must also carry out those rights within the laws prescribed by the country, by Nigeria. You cannot say because you are fighting for your freedom, then consistently breach the laws. If you breach the laws, the law will catch up with you. And importantly here is that this body do not recognize the federal government of Nigeria as a legitimate government. This is a body that has consistently seen this government as not their government, because they have their own government. As far as they are concerned, it is their president, it is the president of their country that is in detention. So you must look at this very critically, not just bringing it within the ambit of the fundamental human rights provisions that every citizen has a right to protest, to hold opinion, to practice a religion of his choice. No, it does not end there. This body, the Islamic movement of Nigeria, has declared a nation of its own. We must go back to that point, because that is the genesis of the continuing a breach of the Nigerian laws, which is leading to this order that is coming from the court. And so if we don't see it from that point, then we miss the mark. Let us not just look at it as every other protest that has been carried out in the nation. Just like you said, the learned Sikh Falana said, no, it's a ploy to derail the thinking, to create a narrative which is not the truth. What is the position? Islamic Movement of Nigeria do not recognize the federal government of Nigeria. The Islamic Movement of Nigeria has declared themselves a government to themselves. They have their president, they have governors across the 36 states of the nation, and even a minister in the FCT for themselves. And so can a government continue, and a nation, let's not even say government, can a nation continue to allow such a body, to allow such an organization to continue to thrive, to continue to practice their activities? I don't think so.
Quickly. You are aware that the country is facing quite a number of domestic challenges in terms of security, and oftentimes on this show we've had experts say governments should not open themselves up again to another form of internal fightings in terms of like we've just seen. We are still struggling with banditry, Boko Haram, the herdsmen issue are still there, armed robbery and the rest of them. Wouldn't this worry you at what this could degenerate into?
Yes, it worries. It should worry every citizen of this country what it could degenerate to. Your intro, when the security expert was talking about what is happening in Yemen today, we can just, if not properly managed, Nigeria can just dive into the Yemen template, Iraq, Syria. It is some of those fights in the Middle East as a result of the disagreement between the Sunni and the Shiites faith. Now, I agree it can degenerate. And so governments who has the full responsibility of maintaining law and order, of securing the nation, must now wake up from its sleep to ensure that not just proscribing the body, but to put strategies, to put modalities in place to curtail their activities. And in the event that it wants to blow up to something that cannot be accepted, so government must sit up. And like you said, yes, there are Fulani herdsmen and farmers clash, banditry here and there. And for me, the security arm of the country, of government, is not doing what they should do. They should sit up. And because some of these things get themselves intertwined with a religious connotation, ethnic connotation, you find people who are supposed to attend to critical security issues in the nation, handling them with kids' gloves. And in doing so, it will blow up and become something that the country cannot cope with. So it is better for government, after this prescription, even while they try to challenge the order, while government is enforcing the order, put proper security in place, proper intelligence in place, in order to curtail the activities and nip whatever that's going to blow up on the board and secure the country properly.
Thank you so much, Ogenovo. Let's come back to Lagos before we finally wrap up this segment. Now, there was something Senator Shehu Sani said. He tried to prefer solutions to this lingering protest by the Shiites group. And he said that the Sultan of Sokoto and other religious leaders should stand as guarantors for the leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Ibrahim Zakzaki, and of course his wife, and that the Sheikh should be released to these religious leaders, the Sultan of Sokoto and perhaps the Emir, maybe, some other notable Nigerians. Do you think this is going to calm the nerves of these particular people? Because the reason for this proscription is basically because of the continuous protest that turned violent at some point.
Well, to me, I will not subscribe to that as a main solution to the issue, because when Senator Abaribe stood in for Nnamdi Kanu, who should have been a more person that has such capacity to ensure an accused is always present at the court to maybe for onward prosecution. So jumping bail is the fear of the government. But the government, what I would advise the government to do, there must be restrictive movement around such a person. The person can be well teleguided with DSS 24/7. Why do we pay this government? Why do we have taxes? That is the essence of security. There must be 24/7 security surveillance around such a person. It doesn't mean because he's free and he's on bail. The government, within the mechanism of administrative mechanism of government, it is not an issue maybe because he's on bail that will now imbue him to commit more further crime. What I would advise, let the government, he has the right to choose his own surety. Not the government to also nominate or anybody nominating anybody to him or somebody, and it will desecrate that stool of sultan or the emirship. We cannot desecrate our stool because of an individual. If this individual has committed crime, that's where I'm going. The families of the Channel Civic and the DA and DCP, do you think they are in the mourning period? What about the people that were fired at the National Assembly? Meaning that these are bandits. It's no longer a Shi'Ite. This should be treated as pure criminals. Whoever that is arrested in the course of this, whoever that, definitely the government is lacking behind. That's where we're also imploring the government. Let them open up an inquiry commission, not just on this issue alone, generally all insecurity issues. Let that commission begin to be an advice. Definitely there are other advisory agencies, maybe of the government that can also provide legal opinion to the government. But on this basis, the government also must be able to show some semblance of managing the proscription period, because that is the most dangerous era that we have now. There must be proper measure, just as my colleague has just said. There must be a corresponding duty, because where there is a right, there is a corresponding duty. Let the government on their own now begin to draw up strategy. Oh, how are we now going to begin to convert these people? What about the orientation? Where is the National Orientation Agency that needs to bring back the Nigerian in them back to the people? Not that we have to just condemn those people, because if there is no measure to bring them back, reorientate them, and ensure that whatever opinion that is being shared, then let the government, if the El Zazaki is the issue, keep him, grant him his bail, let him be, but they must be under 24-hour security surveillance, irrespective of who is his lawyer. Definitely has a good lawyer, but sometimes it is also going to go in that direction. As we lawyers, we owe a very huge obligation, not just because our client has paid us, but we owe the obligation to the nation. If our client and his followers are committing this kind of brigandage, there is a need for us to condemn that act of criminality. We cannot be endorsing criminality on the premise of sentiment, on the premise of, oh, this thing, if it is for this, then it should be given for this.
To actually figure out, because
let the practitioners, and that's why I'm calling Mr. Femi Falana, that he has a very huge role. He can even mediate. Definitely we have ADR, we have, our legal system now is already going towards ADR. Why must we explore that punitive capital offense? Why can't we have an ADR? Oh, this is it. The laws is strict. You cannot also profess to, these people have not paid old allegiance to Federal Republic of Nigeria. Definitely they lost that citizenship right. Once you have, so there is a need. If they need to operate that, they can go to a space that permits them, not within that geographical space of Nigeria.
Okay, Hassan.
Definitely, they have their right, but there is a need for corresponding duty, and there is a need for all Nigerians. We cannot afford war. Let nobody be promoting war. Let nobody give a backup statement that will begin to pat the shite at the back.
All right,
definitely, let all of us look at this issue. And I want to also call the National Assembly also needs to play some huge role so that the whole issue can be treated equally.
All right, Dr. Hassan, thank you for your contribution. That's about how much we can take from you on the show. Thank you so very much. And to you out there, Ogenovo, yes, Otemo, legal practitioner, thank you for talking to us on the show. Zika, that's about how far we could take. We'll take a break now, and then when we come back, our conversations will continue. Don't go away.
You say something, whether you say no,